Welcome to the Black Doctor Collective podcast. We as Black doctors are in a unique position. We can change our communities, healthcare, and the world. Of course, we start by changing the way we see and value ourselves. I'm your host, Dr. Shanika Horn, pediatrician and physician coach, travel extraordinaire. I am so happy to have you here and listening. So let's get into it. Hey y'all, somehow I keep taking y'all on vacation. I have recorded podcasts on a bunch of my trips. I have taken y'all to Ghana. I have taken y'all to, I want to say it was Antigua. I can't even remember. But today we are in the Florida Keys because although sometimes it looks like I have my things together, I in fact did not plan very well. And yesterday, the day before the trip, the day when somehow I have a to-do list of 45 things that I probably should have already finished, of course, the podcast fell off that list. So we're recording today in Florida. It's beautiful here. It's like a balmy 79, 80 degrees, which is so much better than the 50-degree weather, rainy, cloudy day that I left behind in New York. And if you guys are watching on the YouTube, you can see that my hair is adapting very well to the humidity. And by very well, I mean frizzy. This beautiful twist out that I thought I was going to have. I put the gel in and the mousse or whatever, the hold. I think I put the wrong hold in now that I'm thinking about it. But anyway, clearly it's not holding nothing because my hair is a lovely fro, which is fine. It is just what it is. It's just not what I was expecting, which I think is the story of your life when you're a natural girly. So here we are in Florida. And what better weather than to talk about spring? Because it is spring, y'all. Spring's officially here and the pollen count is high enough to remind you. So while the calendar says that the new year started in January, something about this season actually feels like the real beginning. In fact, even the zodiac sign start now. They start in Aries, if you believe in astrology, which some people do, some people don't. I'm kind of here or there. But spring is actually considered the true new year. So, the trees are starting to bud. The light is stretching a little longer each day. I was just looking out my window yesterday and feeling so excited that it was like 7:30. And while it wasn't bright, it was dusky, but the fact that it wasn't pitch black was amazing. So this season is the season of blooming. As the days change, whether you realize it or not, you're changing too. I always love that quote that's like, this is the oldest you've ever been and it's the youngest you'll ever be. Like every day we change. Every day something is happening. And blooming isn't something that just happens all at once, just like living and aging. It's something that happens gradually with intention, right? It means shedding. It means choosing. And this month we're talking about blooming because I want to talk about what it means to fully choose yourself at work, in your schedule, in your career, and how to stop negotiating against your own joy. Because the truth is, everything is a negotiation. I always laugh because people are like, oh, I'm not a good negotiator. Do you have toddlers? Do you get them to eat? Do they survive from one week to another? You are a great negotiator. If you've ever gotten anything by asking for it, that wasn't necessarily on the menu or, available per se, and you were able to get that thing, you are a negotiator. There are so many examples that I could come up with where people don't realize that they have been developing negotiation skills their entire life. So everything is a negotiation. I just want you to expand your definition of negotiation because I do think when I say that word sometimes, people get nervous. They think confrontation. They think automatically that the opposite party that they're negotiating with doesn't want to give them what they desire. And so it carries a heavy feeling, a weight. And it doesn't have to be like that. So the most powerful part of negotiation is understanding that you have choices. You always have choices, and the ability to walk away from what doesn't serve you. And so, yeah, let's just get into what that means, what it means to bloom, why this is like probably the most important time for you to stop shrinking and start showing up. Okay. So, like I said, spring just feels like it is new, it's about change. January comes with all this pressure, resolutions and goals and new habits, new year, new me. But spring just feels lighter, right? It invites you to soften, to kind of like stretch, to grow, to think about what you need. It's not so much about reinvention as it is about emergence. Think of like blooming butterflies. You're not starting from scratch. You're blooming from what's quietly been growing underground all winter, literally a caterpillar into a butterfly. This is your season to show up. You can be loud about it. You can be soft about it. You can be unapologetic about it. You get to choose the tone. Everything is a choice. Don't let that overwhelm you. Don't use that against yourself to become overwhelmed. That is a lose-lose. We don't do that here. But what you don't also get to choose, what is not a choice? Shrinking, self-betrayal, going along to get along, right? Those times are over. We can see that we've been doing that for like how many hundreds of years in this country, and where are we now? And we can also see that women who show up boldly and beautifully also get what they want, and they live this life of joy, and especially smart women, and we are that. I mentioned in last week's episode that kind of inspired this week's episode was blooming, was this badass workshop I went to with Bozoma St. John, who is a marketing guru, head of marketing for Pepsi, for Uber, for Netflix, for I can't even think of all the places she's worked. And now she's on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So if you watch reality TV, but she talked about blooming, and that's what triggered a lot of the themes that are coming up for this month is me sitting down and thinking what that means. What does it mean to bloom? For me, it's like trusting the timing of things because certain things just can't be rushed, you know? I think about making decisions that honor the version of me that I'm becoming. What does that mean? There's like this phrase about be her now, where you are literally choosing, like if you are this person that you envision in the future, right? For me, it's like a luxury lady of leisure who has figured out how to have income without working and is deeply connected to the earth through, I like gardening and I like lounging. I like water. So right now you guys can't see it, but I'm sitting in a hotel room with a balcony. I guess I could just like angle it real quick. But there's a balcony and it has a view overlooking the marina. There are boats and palm trees and pelicans. So when I think about that woman in the future who has this as like a regular lifestyle, what are some of the things that she's already doing? I think that's what's helped me upgrade a lot of parts of my lifestyle. And so people are seeing that now and thinking like, oh my God, like she travels every month and she does all these things. But it's like, those were conscious steps that I took, small steps each day, each month, each year to continuously change my lifestyle. So like, I don't sleep on cheap sheets, right? Like I love a good thread count sheet. I started that before med school. You know, I didn't have no money. I was at Marshall's, okay? Marshall's has great thread count sheets, by the way. In wintertime, I only sleep in flannel sheets because I like to be warm. I do not like to be cold. So just treating yourself like the luxury version of yourself that you envision yourself to be is where you start. It's how you say yes to all the things that are feeding you and no to what is draining you. And yes, saying no is hard. Yes, it is easier said than done, but you still have to do it. It's speaking up even when your voice wants to tremble, or sometimes when you want to cry, but you can't let those people see you cry. So you're speaking up and then you leave the room and then you cry, because that's me. It's taking the leap even when your legs are wobbling. Blooming is not effortless. It is rooted. It is consistent. It is knowing you can ask for what you want, negotiate for ease, protect your rest, and stop asking for permission to just be who you actually want to be. That is blooming. That is also self-advocacy. Your time, your energy, your salary, your schedule, all of it is negotiable. Every part of your life that feels rigid, possibly, or that you're unhappy with right now is up for discussion if you're willing to speak up, if you're willing to ask for it. Quick pause. If you are an early career Black doctor and you've been feeling underpaid, overworked, or just unsure how to ask for what you really want at work, I want to invite you to join my group program, the Any Day Negotiator. And this is where we are rewriting the rules you've been following in medicine. Those rules are outdated. You'll learn how to negotiate for better pay, advocate for your boundaries, and you'll do all this without waiting for a new job or someone to give you permission. You can also do this if you are about to start a new job or you're thinking about starting a new job. There is no perfect time to start negotiating. The next cohort starts in May. The doors are opening soon. So if you're ready to stop settling and start advocating for the life you actually want, click the link in the show notes to book a call with me. Let's figure out if this is your right next move, because you can start negotiating for more any day. Why not today? So this episode, I'm going to talk a little bit about what I think is the most powerful negotiation tool in all of this. And I'm going to give you some examples. So what I think is the most powerful negotiation tool is being willing to walk away. That feels like a little bit of a trend. I see that so much on social media. Just walk away, girl. Just leave that job. Just leave that man. Just walk away. Like that is everyone's advice anytime that they're talking about negotiation without considering what's happening in that person's life, how hard it is to walk away, the emotional toll of doing something like that. And also without showing them what they can have on the other side of that, because that's really what makes people hesitant to take a leap, is that they don't know what's on the other side of saying no. And to be honest, sometimes you literally have to take the leap without knowing. In my own personal history, I think about when I was finishing up residency. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't want to do Gen Peds. Funny enough, I'm doing Gen Peds now, but that wasn't what I thought was my ministry, because all of my attendings looked super unhappy and I was not going to sign up for something that made me feel the way they looked. You know what I'm saying? So I ended up applying for global health fellowships because my thought was I would love to get paid to travel. I could use the skills I already have and I could travel the world. That sounds like the best of everything. So I applied to my fellowship program and everything was going well. I put in all my applications. I was doing interviews. Yeah, I literally did interviews. It was great. And then I started doing these calls with the existing fellows of the program. At the time, for pediatrics, because they offer a global health specialty to every subspecialty there is, pediatric choice was to go to India. And the fellow who was in India was on 24/7, 360, maybe not 365. I think she was there for 6 months, but 6 months of the year, she was on 24/7. When I spoke to her, it sounded like she was actually drowning. And in my mind, I was like, there is no way I'm going across the world to live in a country that could potentially be racist, because we know colorism runs deep in India, into a vegetarian state, because you know I like some chicken, a patriarchal society where women rarely travel alone by themselves, where they always need a male escort. I'm a Black woman traveling solo to this place to suffer, to drown, when I already felt like I was drowning in residency. There was no way. I couldn't do it. I couldn't even convince myself to do it. So I decided that even though I had not heard back from a single other global health fellowship program, actually I got rejected from the one at CHOP, I think. Was it CHOP? I can't remember. Anyway, one of the ones in Philly had just straight up rejected me. And this was my other prospect and my only prospect. I didn't have any other job lined up. I had no idea what I was going to do, but I was still willing to walk away. Why? Because I knew that what they were offering would worsen my state. It was absolutely the opposite direction of the life I was trying to live. I could stay in America and struggle if I was looking for struggle. So I did tell them that. I told them no. And if you've been around here a long time, one of the concepts I used to talk about a lot all the time, but I haven't in recent times, is that I love to say no and. I don't just say no, no thanks, thanks for the opportunity, but I'll pass. I said no. And if you were to have an opportunity in a different location, I would be interested in entertaining that. Part of that also came from, I did speak to another fellow from the program who had been in Liberia, and she described her job, and it sounded so much better than what this girl was proposing in India. But at the time in Liberia, they weren't accepting peds. They were accepting family medicine because they wanted someone to do full scope medicine. So I literally just pitched it to them and I said, hey, if Liberia needs a pediatrician, y'all call me. I would do that. And that's what ended up happening. Because I said no and did not betray myself and just sign up for something just to have something. And because I was specific in my no, they called me back a month later. Girl, yes, that's 30 days of me sitting with no job, wondering what I'm going to do, but I did it. They called me back and offered me the position in Liberia. You just have to be willing to walk away. It is a risk. It is a leap of faith. I did the same thing in the current job I'm in. I was so ready to walk away in November and I let them know. And we ended up having some negotiations over the course of about a month and a half, whereby I created a medical director position that I am now currently occupying at a rate of pay that I am happy with. So being ready and willing to negotiate and then walk away if what they are offering is not what you envisioned for yourself. Whoo, that's a skill, child. And it takes a lot, but it is always worth it not to betray yourself. Always. I have a current client who did the same thing. She was in her first year of her first job after leaving training, her first year as an attending, had the sign-on bonus, had all the bells and whistles, and her job sucked. I mean, the hours were trash. They were constantly adding more hours, adding more responsibility, same rate of pay. She was burning out so fast. And, she had a sign-on bonus. So, if for most sign-on bonuses, if you leave within the first year, they want that money back, right? And you may or may not have already spent it and may or may not be able to pay that back. So, there were things to consider. But at the end of it, she realized that sign-on bonus be damned. Like, I cannot stay here. This is not good for my health. I'm so unhappy. And so she joined my program. And through the program, we really got her out of that job. We figured out exactly what kind of job she was looking for. We figured out what it would take to transition out of her current job. And let me tell you, after like a few sessions, few weeks, homegirl just messaged me and told me she quit. She was so secure about her exit plan. She didn't even tell me she was about to quit. She told me after she submitted her resignation. That's how secure she felt. Because we had really talked through this. And this is something I give to all of my clients, is a contingency plan. Even in a new job, how do you know that when you get in there, everything is going to be what they say it is? Besides having 99% of it in writing, there's still a percentage of it that is not in writing. And what if what they say doesn't match the actual scenario? What if your expectation is not met in some way? How then do you leave? How then do you know what to do? How then do you not feel stuck or trapped? You have a contingency plan. Now, for me, I didn't have contingency plans when I was doing what I was doing. I was just bold. But because of my experiences, I have been able to then map out contingency plans. So this past winter, when I decided I'm ready to give it all up, this is before we even decided a medical director position was a thing they would be willing to do, a role I would be willing to fill. I had made it my contingency plan. I used the same steps that I use with my clients to come up with like, what do I do now? How do I still have income? How do I secure myself? How do I move towards my own joy and happiness? And the thing is, I was absolutely willing to walk away. And actually, that sounds hard, but it makes the negotiation easier because it's like, I will just do whatever I need to do, or else, like, I will leave, right? I will leave. And I have plans for if I leave. So that's what it is. That's what blooming looks like. That's what power looks like. That's what freedom looks like. So if you are no longer afraid to walk away from what doesn't serve you, you are free. And the way it becomes easier is to make a contingency plan. This is what we do. Okay, so all month long, we're going to talk all about these kinds of things: blooming, negotiating, advocating. We're going to talk about it through different angles, right? Negotiating for more, even in your current job, negotiating for more in a job you're interested in, choosing yourself again and again and again. It's choosing a softer life without the guilt. I want you to be able to do this and feel calm and grounded and confident. And actually, here's my little side note, my little soapbox about confidence. You don't gain confidence before you do the thing. You become confident after you do the thing. It's just like medical school. The first day you graduated, you were a doctor, but you were not a confident one. And what made you a confident doctor was practice. And the more you've practiced, the more you feel confident about what you're saying, how you're doing it, what your decision making is. So confidence comes with proof. When you have proven to yourself that you are comfortable, that you are able, you are qualified to do the thing. So whenever I say that, I'm like, yo, go after your stuff with confidence. Actually, I take that back. It's not about confidence. Confidence is something you earn. It is a side effect. It is the aftermath of doing the thing. So I do want you to go after what you want. And I do want you to start now. Not when you're ready, not when work slows down, not when the kids get a little bit older. No work will slow down. Have you ever seen work just naturally slow down? It doesn't. You have to advocate for it. You have to decide to go part-time. You have to choose to scale back your hours. All of it changes when you ask, but not before and not without asking. Okay? So what do I want you to do? I want you to tune in every week to this podcast, especially for the April sessions, if you are interested in talking about how to self-advocate, how to bloom. This season is not about proving anything, okay? This is just about choosing yourself. It's about planting these seeds of intention and letting the world see what's been growing in you all along, besides resentment, okay? So here's your invitation. I want you to look at your life. I want you to look at your schedule, your salary, how much energy you have. Because listen, perimenopause is approaching, y'all. And we are going to have a decline in energy if you don't already have one. So you need to be asking yourself, what do I have the energy for? Does this version of my life reflect me in bloom? If not, it's okay, because you can change that. It's one small shift at a time. You are not behind. You are right on time. And also, if you're an early career Black doctor and you feel like you're not getting what you want at work and you decide, okay, I'm ready for some help, right? Whether that's about pay or time or even respect, right? Or just peace, because Lord knows we all want peace. I want you to check out my Any Day Negotiator group program. This is where we change how you advocate for yourself, how you move through medicine. The next cohort is starting in May, and I'd love to talk to you about it. Head to the show notes, sign up for a call. Let's see if this is your season to bloom. See you next week. I'm going to go off and enjoy this beautiful weather here in Key West. I'm here for the rest of the week. I'm excited. I'm here with my coach and my coaching cohort. So expect some good things to come out of this, honey, because you know when I get coached up, we are in here. We are negotiating. We're doing all the things. So I am proud of you guys for making steps, whatever steps you've been making. I'm sure you've been making them. If you're here taking time listening to the podcast, this is probably something your luxury future you does. Takes time to enjoy and indulge in a podcast, to have quiet moments to themselves. That's what my future me does. So that's what I want for you. I will see you next week. Bye. Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe to the podcast. And what I want you to do next is link us everywhere you can. Instagram at The Black Doctor. Just become part of our collective. I want you here. Thanks. Until next time. Bye.